What is going on, everybody? Been a diehard Pistons fan since '03 and eager to see this team getting back to playing winning basketball. The Detroit Pistons just lost their second preseason game of the year to the Phoenix Suns by a final score of 105 to 97. In this video, we're going to highlight a few player performances that I was impressed or not so impressed by, and then towards the back half of the video, we're going to talk about some of the general game notes and talk about the rotation going forward a little bit. So to kick things off, the first player that I do want to highlight is Jaden Ivy. Jaden Ivy has obviously played very, very well through camp and through the first preseason game, and that really didn't stop tonight despite the loss. Jaden Ivy, again, is showing that he has made significant improvements in a lot of areas. Tonight, he made a lot of really good and easy passes, which is really nice to see because his decision-making with the ball in his hands was questionable at times throughout his freshman and sophomore year. And right now, it just looks like a lot of things are clicking for him. I have been paying attention to my comment section, other Pistons communities online. A lot of people still seem to be worried about some of the things defensively, some of the ability to make decisions, things like that. For me personally, my biggest takeaway with what we're seeing out of Ivy right now is it looks like he's coming into his own, and it looks like he is learning to use his speed to his advantage. I know that right now he is definitely one of the fastest players in the league, and his ability to be able to pick and choose his spots to use that speed is becoming more apparent, and it's leading to better outcomes in general throughout the preseason so far. Tonight, he finished with quite a few points. Didn't shoot the ball particularly a lot from the three-point line or anything like that, but he definitely was one of our leading scorers and looked very, very good just based off the eye test alone tonight as well. So the second player that I do want to highlight is Beasley. Now, in the previous video, I didn't really mention a whole lot about him, but looking back on it, I probably should have, because his impact has definitely not gone unnoticed. His impact from the game tonight and the first game of the preseason as well has been pretty critical. He's not the type of player, especially in this type of offense where he's playing off of Cade, etc., where he's going to just completely take up a bunch of usage and really jump off your screen every single possession. That's not exactly what he is doing right now, but what he is doing is he's being in the right spot at the right time. He's able to score the ball, whether someone else is setting him up or if he has to go get one himself, he can do it. And defensively, he seems to be a little bit taking a charge as a leader as well. I know that he wasn't the best one-on-one defender of all time coming onto this team, even though he was tasked with doing that quite a bit in Milwaukee. But just, again, on that side of the floor as well, being in the right spot at the right time, communicating, helping the young guys out verbally, which you can see on the screen, it's really going a long way and definitely not going unnoticed by me. So the next player that I do want to highlight here is Ron Holland. Now, Ron Holland had a relatively quiet first half tonight, but towards the back half of the game, he definitely left his imprints on the game. He did have a little dust up with Lee from the Phoenix Suns. He was all in his grill, playing some lockdown defense, ended up poking the ball away from him, and then Lee from the Suns kind of took him to the ground, so he wasn't able to recover the loose ball, which led to kind of just the NBA infamous shove you, I'm a shove back type of scuffle. Not a whole lot came out of it, but was really, really kind of interesting to see him be able to hold his own in that type of situation as a 19-year-old rookie. He did not look scared of anything out there during that situation, and he was chirping a little bit after the fact. So definitely seems like a Detroit Piston to me. Tonight, as he did in the first preseason game, he was really, really good about making the extra pass. There was a time in transition where he found Stewart for a dunk. A couple plays later, he drew the defense in to himself at the three-point line and kicked it over to Wendell Moore. Another just easy one more pass to an open three that dropped, something we saw in the first preseason game as well. He was able to get into the paint and showcase a lot of what he was showcasing in the summer league in small bursts tonight, where he would just drive to the hoop, jump off 2 feet, and something's going to happen. Either he's going to get fouled or he's going to make the shot, one of the two. So definitely liked what I saw out of Ron Holland tonight as well. Next player that I want to highlight here is Jaylen Duren. Jaylen Duren did a really good job of being just a vertical lob threat tonight. He caught a couple lobs, one from Ivy, I remember. A couple easy buckets came his way from Cade assists. Overall, a decent game for Jaylen Duren. Defensively, he seems to be playing a lot higher on ball screen actions this year compared to last year. That's probably more of a coaching decision than anything, but it looks okay. I'm definitely not out on Jaylen Duren's defensive potential at all, and I think that there was some good signs tonight. Although not all good signs, but there was some good signs to be more excited about that going forward. Now, the last player that I do want to highlight here is Cade. Now, Cade finished the game with 3 points, 8 assists, and 1 turnover. He did not play at all in the second half. I'm almost certain that that's just a minutes management thing, a kind of planned decision from the coaching staff. I don't think that there's any injury to worry about because there was no status report that came out from the Pistons organization after he didn't come out and play in the second half. Not exactly uncommon to see in the preseason for certain players, and I wouldn't be too worried about it unless something comes out within the next couple minutes from a press conference or something, but I would not expect that at all. I think he's totally fine. I think that tonight his motor was sometimes there and sometimes not. It definitely was there when he was able to get another block shot on another jump shot, just like he did in the first preseason game. He also got a nice dunk that was kind of a half poster. Overall, not Cade's best game ever. It was just kind of hit or miss. He didn't play a ton of minutes, and there wasn't a whole bunch to write home about. Nothing to worry me. Anyways, the 8 assists to 1 turnover, I guess that's good, but just by watching the game, it really didn't seem like he was doing anything out of the ordinary or special in that department. Just Cade being Cade. So, to talk about some general game notes, things along those lines, the game kind of was like within striking distance, then not, then back within striking distance. Doesn't really matter for a preseason game. There was a point where the Suns went on an 18-0 run in the third quarter, and that kind of broke the game apart. I was just curious to see how they would respond to that. By the time they were able to, the starters were mostly off the floor. I think Sasser finally hit a 3 to break that spell, but yeah, definitely nothing crazy there. 18-0 runs are going to happen in the NBA, especially when you're playing against a team like the Phoenix Suns. It is what it is. Not really a big deal as far as that goes. I want to talk about the transition for the team. Just general full court transition offense because it looks really, really good. I think this is something that they can lean into because they have the players on the team to suit that type of offense, whether it's Ivy, Holland, Asar when he comes back. Cade can push the break. Stewart, Duren, those guys can get out in transition for bigs. I think that that's something that they should really lean into because it's looked very good in the last couple preseason games, and I think that that's something that they can kind of build into this identity that they're looking to create. And the last thing I kind of wanted to talk about was just the rotation in general, because a few things are starting to become somewhat evident, even though it's preseason, and even though JB Bickerstaff has reiterated a couple times that he is looking to test lineups throughout the preseason with nothing being set in stone. But the one takeaway I think seems to be maybe relevant here is the fact that Sasser and Paul Reed, two guys who a lot of people did expect to potentially be rotation players, have not seen the floor in either of the preseason first halves. Throughout both the first and second preseason game, neither Sasser or Paul Reed have seen the floor until the second half when they start cycling in the deep bench guys. So something to be aware of because once Tobias gets back into the lineup, which should be sooner than later, and then once Asar comes back, which hopefully won't be too long, it'll be even harder for those guys to find minutes despite them not exactly playing the same position. But either way, it doesn't seem like Bickerstaff wants to go too deep into his bench. And as of right now, it looks like Sasser and Paul Reed might be two casualties as far as rotation minutes go. But it's the NBA. Players are going to be out. It is what it is. They're going to get opportunities at some point this year. It just might not be at the very start of the year, and it might not be as often as some people thought going into the season. So let me know what you guys think. We'll be looking forward to the next preseason game. The next one is also going to be against the Phoenix Suns, this time out in Phoenix rather than East Lansing. So we'll definitely have some videos out on that coming soon. Catch up with y'all.